everyone, my name is Jenna, but you guys can call me Jen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Hi, hello, welcome to my perfect books video. So this has been inspired by, there was a trend a couple months ago on TikTok that was going around that was like, these are the 10 books to get to know me as a reader. And like, of course, I was thinking about when I was filming my final videos of last year, like one of these books inspired this video kind of a thing. It was like, this is my perfect book. Like if you want to read this, you'll like find my taste exactly in books. So that kind of just spiraled, and we are going to be here chatting about what I consider to be my perfect books. I have a couple categories. So we have my perfect books overall, what my taste is in books. Like I think if you read these books, you'll get a direct picture of what my taste is in books. And then I have like my perfect dystopian book, my perfect romantasy book, those kind of things. We're gonna start with the books that are my perfect books, some of my favorite books ever. This is my taste in books kind of a thing, just general. And I bet you can guess a couple of them off the top of your brain if you've been around for a second. So we have 4, technically 5 in this stack because these 2 of them go together. Number 1, what inspired this video is that if you want to get a direct reflection or a direct taste of like what my taste in books is, what my perfect book is, from the banter to the coziness to the tropes being used to the inspiration of the book, you're gonna want to pick up Green Teeth by Molly O'Neill. This book, Arthurian legend, we have a really interesting, quirky main character, but not quirky and they're like, oh my god, she's so quirky. Like Jenny Greenteeth is a monster. Like she is a lake-dwelling monster. She usually eats people. And one day she's like, actually, this witch that is at the bottom of my lake, what if I don't? What if I save her instead? Because those men seem suspicious. Honestly, like the way that the dialogue is structured in here, the way that the writing is structured, it's just so perfectly my book. And I love it endlessly. I'm so sorry if this moves at all. Freya is getting very comfy behind the camera. I love this book so much, okay? Like, it literally opens with, the witch looked surprised to see me, her eyes blinking furiously at me through murky waters. I don't know why she was so astonished. It was my lake she'd been thrown into. She should have expected I'd come and see if there was anyone worth eating. Like, it just has such a voice to it. I love a voicey book. I love a little weird book. I love books that have just a touch of horror to them and yet are so cozy and wonderful. And then by the end of it, I just was like in shambles of tears, and it's so heartwarming and full of family and just love. And this is it. Also, like the questing tropes and the touches on Arthurian legend, because this is directly inspired by Arthurian legend and it's set in like Welsh vibes, and it just, yes, it is exactly if you want a taste, if you want to know, you want to go, oh my god, I want to know what Jen's taste in books is. This is it. Pick this up. You'll know exactly what I love in books. It's this. I love this so much. This is my perfect book. And reading this, I was like, this is it. This is exactly what I love in books. I don't even know how to explain it. I love the found family aspect of it, the weird writing, like it's not even a weird writing style, but like the writing style's voicey, as I said, like just everything was a perfect amalgamation of what I love and adore. And I'm so excited for Molly O'Neill's next book because like, oh my god, I need to read everything that this woman writes. This is her debut too, so like incredible. I loved this. Love. So this is what inspired this video. And then of course, another perfect book of mine. Empire of Exiles. I relax everyone. These are perfect books. Absolutely perfect books. I will take no quandaries. I will take no criticism. They are perfect. I love these books so much. They, like, reading Empire of Exiles literally inspired what I wanted to do for my next trilogy with Sage's story, with Far Horizons, my next one that I'm working on. Like, reading this unlocked something in my brain that just made me want to analyze everything that Erin M. Evans does. I reread this 4 times in 2024. And then in Relics, I read 3 times in 2024. Like, they are some of my favorite books of all time. They're literally falling apart, which is why a piece of it is shiny, because I had to tape them together because I have read them so much and I've annotated them so much. These are perfect books. Why? My brain just like it's so happy when I'm not reading something cozy and bantery and fun like Green Teeth. It wants fantasy mystery like nothing else. And a deliciously world-built world that feels real and lived in and like home, and characters that just leap off the page and live rent-free in your brain forever and ever and ever. Like, I love my babies in here so deeply. and I'm so excited for book 3 whenever Erin releases that. These are supremely perfect. They are like, the mystery in here is paced perfectly. It's so fascinating. I've gone back through it twice just to look at the mystery and how Erin does things in Empire. And oh my God, I got to discuss what she was doing with Erin herself on a podcast, like on Writing About Dragons and Shit. I was part of their book club podcast for Empire of Exiles. Like, it was just everything about this book, both of these, just perfect. So these are my perfect books for a little bit something a little bit less cozy and more mystery, interesting genre, bit like a little bit of weirdness. And I've had a couple people read these because I love them so much. And one of my friends, Allie, actually came to me and was like, "Bestie, this is so heavily world built." And I was like, Where's the heavy world building? Like, what? And she was like, "No, it was a lot to wrap my mind around." And I was like, "What do you mean? This is perfect. What are you talking about?" So that's the level of book that I love. I'm a hoe for world building, and that is this. But it's perfectly done world building, so like, it's fine. I love it so much, okay? And then, of course, we have Gideon the Ninth, which is in direct opposition with Empire of Exiles. A direct competition, not opposition, competition with Empire of Exiles for my favorite book of all time. This book took 3 or 4 reads to become solidly my favorite book of all time. I love that so much. Like, this has become home to me, which is so interesting. And I think what it is that I like a book that is meant to be reread. This book is exactly that. Like Empire of Exiles, it has that mystery aspect to it. It has a little weird world building to it. It's got interesting characters that leap off the page. And it's also meant to be reread because you get so much more from it every time you go back and reread it. That is what these books all have in common, is you're gonna get more and more from it the more you reread it. And that is the kind of book that I love. I love when my brain is doing things. And so Gideon is just perfect. It is everything I want in a book. I want to feel this way. I want this voicey narration. I want an interesting world. And I want to be able to kind of understand what's going on, but also have no idea what's going on, but know that by the end I will understand what's going on because I'm in good hands with the author. Like, that is what Gideon the Ninth is for me, and what Empire is for me as well. And then, of course, my final one here of my taste, like my top, like, read these if you want like a good screenshot of my taste. We go a little bit darker with The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. This is my favorite trilogy of all time. These books are a masterclass of world building and storytelling and narration. One thing I love about N.K. Jemisin, now that I've read a number of her books, I've read like The City We Became, that duology. I have read the other trilogy, what's it called? The 100,000 Kingdoms, the Inheritance trilogy. That one is fascinating as well. Book 2 and 3 less so, but like the structure of the actual story as a whole and what she's doing with time and narration and story and how things link together and gods and everything. Fascinating. This is so fucking good. And I think it is an absolutely perfect book. Like, it just is meant to be reread, is meant to be devoured, meant to be loved and decoded and sat with. Everything about this book is just so fascinating. So like, the themes you can take away from my like perfect taste of books, we have very interesting narration, especially like in here where we have like a mix of second narration and all that kind of stuff. And N.K. Jemisin's always doing something with the way that she narrates her books, or not narrates, but like writes her books. We have very, very interesting dynamic characters and voice in them. We have very interesting, anything to do with like interesting, good storytelling and voicey. I love a voicey book that has something to it. And I love being able to reread and think and decode and fall in love with the world and the characters. That is my perfect book. So these are a snapshot of my taste, of my perfect books. This is what I want. I want something that makes me think and is a little darker, a little bit more action-packed, and yet I don't know what's happening until the very end. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm so in love with these characters, holy shit. And then it has super voicey, super interesting narration, and it could be a little quirky, a little bit cozy, a little bit weird, it has a little bit teeth, is an adventure, and it has like a mystery to solve. Like, that is my perfect book. This is the storm for my perfect book. And so we're gonna dive in now that you know a general idea of my perfect book. We're gonna dive into my subcategories of like, what is my perfect dystopian? What is my perfect romantasy, etc. And I'll tell you why. All right, so my perfect epic fantasy, which is kind of like my perfect genre. I got 3, 4, technically, what is that? 6 books, but I consider this one to be all of them. Obviously, I'm gonna hold up Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. Obviously, this is top tier, perfect fantasy, okay? There's a reason he's the fucking father of fantasy, okay? This is my perfect, epic, expansive quest novel, obviously. Okay, this is 3 novels. This is the bind up of all 3. It's the blueprint. You know what I mean? When we're talking about more modern stuff, I have, of course, the queen of fantasy herself, Robin Hobb, with The Assassin's Quest. I hold up The Assassin's Quest very specifically because this is the 3rd book of that Farseer trilogy. I was about to say The Fitz and the Fool, but that's not this one. I have only properly read the Farseer trilogy of Robin Hobb's. And out of that trilogy, and I've read 1.5 books of the Live Ship Traders, but this one, the 3rd one, was perfect to me. And I know that's, like, not a lot of people think that about this book. They don't necessarily like The Assassin's Quest very much, but I like this one specifically because after we have gone through Fitz's journey in Assassin's Apprentice, and then Royal Assassin, and then this one, we have a perfect growth model and depiction of how Fitz grows up, learns about his powers, and becomes an incredible assassin and all this kind of stuff, and then gets entrenched in the politics and blah, blah, blah. And then he takes that shit on a road trip. He literally takes it on a quest. And we know how much I love a fucking quest. I love Assassin's Apprentice. I love Royal Assassin so much, but they are so insular in the castle and keep where he is until like near the end when he like goes and travels places. This one is fascinating to me because he gets to travel. He's a little bit more roguish. He's going around and doing shit. And I thought this was a perfect, absolute perfect masterwork of character work and the amalgamation and conclusion of Fitz's first journey in all 3 of these original books. So yes, a perfect fantasy book. And then we're kind of going a little bit more modern, and we have Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. This book does have its faults, I will say, but it is an absolute masterpiece, and it is a perfect fantasy book to me because it is so delicious with the slow churning world building. We have wonderful, beautiful characters, incredible magic systems, and political intrigue, and something just so delicious about the way that Samantha Shannon writes and creates stories. Like, it is fascinating and delightful. And I will say this every time. Yes, it looks terrifying. It is not that big of a book. They just formatted it dumb, okay? Bloomsbury just decided to do that for some fucking reason, okay? Let me sit up here some words to say to Bloomsbury, okay? This book has been formatted stupid. Look at the size of the goddamn margins, okay? It's so big, and the paper is thick. Like, it could be so much smaller, okay? This is not that big of a book. It just has been formatted to look like a brick for some reason. I don't know. Like, Bloomsbury, you could have done so much better with this and saved yourself so much money. Shelf space, first of all. But this is, like, demanding. Like, this book, when you see it on a shelf, it demands space to be, like, held. And I think maybe that's almost like a weird little metaphor for what kind of a story this is, because this story itself holds so much space. And like, it spans so many characters, it spans across worlds, and yet you learn to love all of these characters individually, and yeah, the ending is a little crazy, and sometimes there's a little weird pacing stuff, but I don't care about that, okay? This is a perfect fantasy book. And again, it's amazing to reread, and I love this book. I love this book so much. I have annotated this book top to bottom. It is low-key, like the binding is kind of falling apart. I read it first in 2019 and then again in 2022, and I'm due for another one, really. Although I haven't yet finished fucking Day of Fallen Night, which is the prequel to this, one of the prequels to this. But yes, this, absolutely this. It's sticking on that same train of like perfect books and their world building and their expansiveness. We're going to one of my favorite fantasy books of all time, and that is Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long. This one is so unassuming. It is her debut, and yet it is still the one that I go back to because I don't even know what to say. Like, this one is a quietly epic novel, and it has inspired so much storytelling in me and world building in me. Really, what we're learning here is that I'm a hoe for some good world building. There's like, this book feels like walking through Skyrim. It feels like the most perfect northern Viking level experience, and it brings out the tropes of like gods fighting and then the mortals getting caught up with that, which is one of my favorite elements of storytelling and to use in books, like that story. And I love it. It's got such fascinating world building and characters, and I'm just gonna keep waxing poetic about the same things, but it is so fantastic of a novel. And it's not necessarily one that is like bombastic or huge or life destroying, but it is so beautiful and gentle, but yet absolutely fucking brutal in some ways. Like it just hits for me. And it's one of the reasons why Hannah Long is one of my favorite fantasy authors ever. Like this book just fucking worked, okay? It was so good. I think that is really what I love about a good epic fantasy, is when they take their time to get to these big explosive battles, and it's satisfying to read, and it's painting this beautiful world and including these really interesting characters that just get to live in it, and then you get to live in the world with them. Like that is what I love. Yeah, give me the slower epic fantasies. Give me the ones that have space and time to build, because that is where the best and most magical shit happens. My perfect sci-fi, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. This is the epitome of incredible masterwork on really expansive world building and universe and all this kind of epic space opera vibes, but it's so palatable because you are spending time with just this crew of very, very, very human people, even if they're not necessarily human. You know what I mean? Like there's aliens and shit. It is just fascinating what Becky Chambers does with her work, and her sci-fis are bangers across the board. Even if there's some that I don't love that much, it's still great in some capacity. And I think that that is my perfect sci-fi. Like really what nails it down to the meat of it is my perfect sci-fi is something that is very expansive, plays in a really big world like an epic fantasy, but has very human characters to connect with that we genuinely care about. Because otherwise we get so lost in the space and the stars, and it becomes too big and too epic, you know? So I think that's what really nails down my perfect sci-fi, is something that marries that perfect balance of an incredibly interesting world with awesome characters, which is just another reflection of what I love in fantasy, you know? It really is. I'm a girl of very few tastes, but like deep tastes. Huh? I don't know. My favorite dystopian, I think, has to be Chain Gang All-Stars by Nana Kwame Echebrenya. This should be fucking required reading across the board. It reads like an adult Hunger Games, and it is delightful. Again, we're playing with interesting characters and narration and structure in here, because we have not only our main characters, Thurwar and Stax in here, but we are also getting outside perspectives and extra characters that are kind of brought in for different things, and it plays a little bit with narrative, and it's just a fascinating book. And I think it does what it set out to do, which is like holding up a big fucking mirror at the American prison system so well. And I think like other wonderful dystopians like Parable of the Sower is honestly a perfect dystopian for me as well. It's not necessarily a perfect book though, because yes, it is 5 stars. Yes, it is a masterpiece, but I don't think it's a perfect book for a number of different reasons. But like, there's so many wonderful, wonderful things, and you could, you know, pull the Hunger Games out of that. But I think this one is just stunning, and I wanted to highlight that because I haven't talked about this one in a while. I think we're due for a reread soon, but this is just a perfect dystopian. And I think what I look for in a dystopian, one, is not only like readability and a fascinating world and fascinating characters, but something that is genuinely, gently terrifying, but also like gives a good element of terrifying because it is so close to being real and could be very real. But yeah, like it gives you this sense of like, okay, like I feel like I'm a little bit prepared if something like this ever would come to pass, because I feel like I've not necessarily that I could get through it, but it's just like, okay, mentally, like I've experienced it now I'm aware of it, and I can like keep my eyes out for the signs and like help stop it. You know what I mean? Like there's something so genuinely terrifying about reading a dystopian that hits so close to home, and you're reading it and you're sitting there and you're going, this is literally 2 degrees left to where we are now. Because we are living in the beginning of a dystopian novel at all times, but it's real, it's not fictional anymore because the world is fucking on fire. I don't know why it's weirdly comforting to find a dystopian novel that does it right. And I don't know what it necessarily is, but it's like, it gives you this story that might be bleak like Parable was, and like you're reading through it and you're like, yeah, fuck, this is so real. This is so, maybe it has to do with the fact fact that because some of these books are old, not this one, but Parable was written in the 80s, it's like, oh, and we're going back to like all those old dystopians like 1984 and Brave New World and The Handmaid's Tale. It's like, oh no. Yeah, it feels so real because history is just a circle. They've done it before. We've lived it before. And they can think through these problems before, so we can do it again if we have to. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a comfort that this is not brand new. That this, even though that's fucking terrifying. And yeah, it might still be a little bit speculative, fictionized, not quite realistic, but like the core of the dystopian is real lived shit. You know, like we've gone through it before and we have the elements and the building blocks to go through it again. And it's up to us as people to stop it. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm talking about. This is my little mini diatribe on dystopian, but this is my perfect dystopian book. My perfect novella, I got two of them that I think are just perfect novellas. They are, and what really makes a perfect novella for me, because this is not necessarily genre based, this is definitely, what is it, not media based, but like format based? I don't know, like the difference between like a short story novella and a novel. You know what I mean? I find short things so difficult to read because you don't get enough time with the characters, usually. And I feel like you just need more and more, you just need more time, you need more space, you know, whatever, and if it's not done quite well, blah, blah, blah. These two are perfect novellas because you don't necessarily need more than what is given. The first one is Spear by Nicola Griffith. And I think this one is utterly perfect, not only because it is an interestingly narrated book, like the writing is just gorgeous. It is a retelling of a specific myth that might not be super well known. Like, I had no idea who Perotar was in Camelot, but I did recognize a lot of things. Also, hello, Arthurian, again. I have one love and it's Arthurian legend. But this is a gender-bent retelling of a myth that, or a legend that was from the Camelot era, if you will, of those kind of stories. It's one of the knights, it's one of King Arthur's knights, and her relationship with Nimue, the Lady of the Lake. And it's fascinating. And it's such a cool, perfectly done little story. And it spans like all of Perotar's life up to meeting Nimue and like having that relationship and all this kind of stuff. Like and it's crazy that it does that in such a short amount of space, but it's just packed so beautifully with it. And I think what really does it is the level of feels like you're reading a fairy tale almost, so you don't necessarily need any more than what's given to you. It's the perfect amount of story for this. It's perfect. It is a perfect little novella, and I love it. And then another one is Song for the Wild Bill. And yeah, this is a duology, and yes, it should be longer because I could spend so much time with Dex and Mosscap, but this is a perfect novella because it is a bite-sized journey into your own mind. It asks you questions that when you come to this book, whether you're in the middle of a turmoil in your life or thinking of things, like I think I read this at the first time when I was fresh out of uni and I just sobbed like the whole way through because it makes you think. And it is a perfect novella because it's just, you don't need any more space than this. It does what it does. It's very soft. It's very beautiful. I reread this in 2022 as well, and it didn't hit the same way, obviously, because it wasn't the first time that I was reading it, but it just, this is it. Like when you're doing something like this that is softer, cozier, gentler, but yet is going at it like just making you think about things. Like there isn't necessarily a right answer about things. This is perfectly weighted in the perfect amount of pages. I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, these two are the perfect novellas. I think they're balanced perfectly, and I just love them. Anyways, we're just slowly making this stack of books higher until it gets up to here. We've done epic, we've done sci-fi, we've done dystopian. Now let's turn to my lovely romantasy and romance heart. I've got three perfect romantasies in different aspects. My perfect romantasy, top to bottom, without question, Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher, without question. The banter, top tier. Again, we have very voicey, interesting characters that pop off the page. It is so good. The world building in here is like not necessarily great, but like it just, what really gets me in this one is specifically the characters and the banter and the relationship between the two of them. And it shows us a relationship that genuinely is built block by block in the narrative. So you genuinely believe that these two characters are meant for each other. And that is what is perfect in romantasy to me. I don't want none of this lust bullshit. I don't want them to fall into bed immediately. I need time. I need this relationship to yearn and build and grow and to show me why these two people genuinely belong together as they're fighting shit outside, as Sarkis is helping our beautiful main character get free from her dumb family. Like, yes, T. Kingfisher, though most of her books have been misses for me recently, She has some bangers, and she knows what she's doing when it comes to Sword Heart, Paladin's Grace, Nettle and Bone. Like, those really hit for me because they just have the perfect combination of wonderful character, interesting banter, and like balance between the relationship and building that, and also the shit that's going on the outside. Like, it's not just it's not just the romance. It is other things too. Like, it's layered, it's interesting, it's a good story overall. Like, just yes. And then if you go a little bit further, fully lighthearted, cozy, we have, of course, The Secret Society, The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sango Mandana. This is, I was describing it in my, I went and rewatched my like favorite books of all time video, and I was describing it in there as like feeling kind of like Pride and Prejudice and Emma and all these different books that they just feel like home coming back to them. And a lot of these books, when I do go back to them, they do feel like home because I've discovered something so genuinely amazing in these pages and in these worlds and in these words that are created by these authors, that it's just, it feels like you're returning home to something so familiar and wonderful and lovely. And this book is no exception. It just, everything about it is perfect. I have read it twice or 3 times now. This is everything for me. It just, again, it feels like home when I'm coming back to it. And it's because we have amazing characters. We have 3 little girls that just shine off the page. We have our character Mika Moon, and we have our grumpy librarian dad who's there taking care of these girls, and we have a cast of characters. We got the housekeeper and Ken and Ian, and just everything about this book is perfect. The characters are amazing. It creates a little pocket of happiness, and like the descriptions and the way that this book is actually written is just so delicious to me, and it is using these tropes that I love so dearly in romance, which is, you know, found family and grumpy sunshine and all this kind of stuff that just makes my heart happy. That's really what this does. It makes my heart so happy. And so that is why this romantasy, which is technically, like, this is romance book, cozy fantasy, right? I'm calling it romantasy because this is what I want from a romantasy. I don't know if this necessarily classifies as a romantasy, because of course there's like fantasy romance, romantasy, fantasy, romance with fantasy elements. Like, there's all sorts of different fucking subgenres of that shit. I don't know. I just love this, and I love it. I just love it so much. We go fully onto the other side of that, and we have darker, more intense feeling, epic level of romantasy, and that is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovalino. I don't want a romantasy unless the 2 characters feel like soulmates, which is what we're getting in these romantasies, right? Like, the building blocks of the characters are there. We are shown them through at least backstory with this one, and flashbacks, and we show it through their interactions and their genuine like comfort with each other. I have never read a book where I've seen 2 people more like soulmates than Kier and Gray in here. And that's what I want from a romantasy. Like, I want the slow, the burn, the yearning, it makes you sit there and want to like just shake them because you're just like, look at each other and tell each other you love them, like, please. Like, and then it's also just like balanced with so many tropes that I love, like the Fallen Kingdom and the Hidden Royal. Like, that is one of my favorite tropes. Yes, this is what I want from a romantasy. I want something either deeply, deeply, deeply will shatter your soul because it's filled with yearning and you care for these characters so deeply. It's slower, it's gentler. This also falls into my love of epic fantasy because this is a slower, gentler, building quest type narrative. It has some of my favorite tropes. Like, this is a perfect romantasy for me. And I know so many people this is such a hit or miss for people, but this is my perfect romantasy. This is what I want from a romantasy. If you're going deeper, darker, if you're going lighthearted, aim for these. Like, it's just what I want in my romantasy is character and connection and genuinely good relationships built. I don't want to be told about it. I want to be shown it, you know? Anyway, so really what we've learned across all of this is that I genuinely love a book that is crafted wonderfully. I'm a hoe for some good craft, you know? I want a book that has incredible characters with really well done relationships, and if that is also reflected in the writing and how it shines off the page with really voicey writing, that's perfect. I love that. I love books that play with narration. I love books that have really intricate world building that feels lived in and real and cool with interesting magic systems and all this kind of stuff. Like, recently, I don't think it's a perfect book, but it's so fantastic, is The Surviving Sky by Kritika Rao. Like, this one is just, it's so close to being a perfect book for me because it falls into all these different layers of what I love. Interesting characters, fascinating world building, interesting magic systems, all this kind of stuff. It's so close. It's so close to a perfect book, but these are the building blocks of what I love. This is what I like strive to do in my own work as an author, whether that is learning how to balance a story perfectly, maybe not necessarily in a novella form, but learning how to balance a story perfectly in the space given, having interesting, wonderful characters we can connect to in a world that is just so expansive and lived in and loved, with fascinating characters and interesting magic systems, and maybe even, you know, going into the world of like, you know, taking a direct lens and looking directly at our society and trying to come up with a fix for that, and genuinely having just such a great time living in worlds that I love so dearly and go back to and want to uncode mysteries and live in fascinating places. And so these are my perfect books. I would love to know what your perfect books are, if you have any, now that I've talked and waxed poetic about my perfect books for a little while now. And if you have any recommendations that fall into this category that I did not talk about today, please leave them below, because I would like that. Yes, please. Yes, please. I love a book that just grips me and doesn't let me go, but not necessarily like breakneck speed, just like in a way that it's crafted in a way that the writing is interesting, the narrative is interesting, it has a cool voice, it has good characters, it has just layers of things that I loved. Now I'm convincing myself that I need to reread Empire of Exiles again, and Green Tea, and the 5th season, and Ting Gang All Stars. Just keep layering them. I just want to reread them all now. And I have so many books that I have to read off my TBR. Alas. Anyways, my friends, thank you so much for hanging out with me and discussing my perfect books. I will catch you in another video very, very soon. Stay kind and keep on reading.